so hard for DCG to quell this speed. And BYG could walk away with a 3-0 in what has already been a massive upset here in our quarterfinals. We are about to hit semis with BYG getting a win here. However, DCG, it's a best of 5. Their reverse sweep potential will start now. But with a very similar draft, with the Ornn being the only thing changed, is it going to be enough? Because I feel like this series, DCG have locked themselves into the corner with their drafts, and you know, the Ornn gives a bit more flexibility, but I need to repeat myself. Is it going to be enough with how Beyond Gaming have played this game? Nesty, yeah, don't be disrespectful. Good job, guys. That's what we want to see. He's getting closer. Wait. He's getting closer. All right, Nesty's back. Never mind.
You know, I respect the fact that he is down 0-2 and doesn't want to take a free trade in that mid lane. But you're also down 0-2.
Sure.
So, for DCG, this is backs against the wall, and to your point, to touch on to the Ornn, it does improve their front to back, right? Because they have the extra peel potential coming in when it comes to these team fights. The Gragas brings a lot more when it comes to just keeping upright in the lane phase, having so much disengaged potential to make sure you don't get 1v1 killed. But the Ornn is going to provide maybe that extra stability to allow Cascada to thrive in these fights. And the big thing here is this level 1, after how poorly it went for Cascada Woody in the previous game, it shouldn't repeat itself. And maybe that's the one step that they were like, you know what, if we didn't scuff up that 2-minute fight and lose 40% of our HP, the entire lane phase changes.
I mean, it's moves like this, right? As Cascada steps forward, not going to be too much of a punish as Wako and Kino are getting pushed in yet again, but this time not moving away from Woody as he continues zoning out. And you're right, it was, you know, the level 1, it was also the laning phase in both games that Cascada struggled in quite a lot. Got ahead in the early skirmishing and team fighting last game, but that Zeri was outpaced and rather just out-team fought by Wako in the end. As for BYG, we can kind of look at the early lanes here. Lakai getting bullied in a little bit by Leaky, who has some really good bases. We expect that to change throughout as Minji's doing okay against Nesty for the time being, who both have Ignite, by the way, so that mid lane should be a little fun, especially by ult top.
And Leaky has really just shown a ton of diversity in his pool recently after essentially looking like an R1 trick throughout the entire split, right? As we might see a setup coming in from Hana. Doesn't? Okay, we'll spot it out eventually. And that will deter any action in this mid lane. But for BYG, this is perhaps a draft that is more catered towards the solo lanes this time around, right? You have the Silas, you have the Kali. Maybe Husha turns his attention towards these lanes a little bit more than before, or it's mostly about, hey, saying, you know, I know DCG, they're just going to keep trying to batter this bot lane again and again because they haven't changed their drafts. Why are they going to change their approach to the game?
I feel like for DCG, you know, we see similarities in this game with Beyond, though. We've got very ult-reliant comps, but I think for BYG, you know, Lakai, Minji, when they get level 6, it's going to be about if Minji can move his way out of lane, join some of these skirmishes in River, whether it's Dragon or Herald, but can he get out of lane? That's going to be the biggest thing. Bolt breaker there. Shuriken flip. No, he goes into the mist, but he's been hit down pretty heavily as he runs on out. The Shuriken flip finally there, but Nesty and Hana have priority while Hooch is going to get invaded on simply because of the health difference.
And that is one way for the side of DCG to perhaps limit BYG in this early game, is just get waves shoving and then invade and just keep track of Husha. Make sure he doesn't get to go past the river, because for the most part, when it comes to invading, Husha's been the one to call out these invades. He's been the one in DCG's jungle non-stop, and Hana hasn't really had much of a say. His best plays were attacking BYG, over-aggressing into his half of the map.
Always the counterpunch in the bottom lane that we talked about. Husha was trying to get down bot behind Chris Carter and Woody, but what I love is that he's been so patient. Chris Carter and Woody think, oh, he's moving away. He's bought himself some time. Chris Carter and Woody, oh, this is
the wave's
going to be janky.
Good.
It's really not. So, Wako, yeah, he spotted out. He just went over the wall. Husha spotted out a second time, actually, as Chris Carter and Woody saw him in the lane before, but you know, much better lane this time from the two of them. Feels like they're a lot more aware when in the first two games, awareness was definitely an issue.
Yeah, and you can see the clear difference because of that, right? You're starting back-to-back call, but this time you are up double-digit CS in this bottom lane because now you're able to leverage the fact that you're running double range into a Leona. And I guess they really think that, hey, that first trade doomed the rest of the game. Now we don't essentially give away that level 1. Now we actually can leverage our compositional difference in this bot side.
Actually having a lane Husha here though. There's the counter gank. Kino flashes on in, but not getting the Zenith blade. Hana has himself the Vault Breaker, and Minji's coming in though.
6.
Minji with level 6. Look at the angling here of Nesty. As Beyond getting moved to a choke, he has his flash, he has his ulti, and Kino over the wall.
No, caught out.
Shot plays a fate sealed, and Nesty gets first blood.
Very, very clean execution coming in from the side of DCG, and this is the real consequence. They get their first dragon on the table, and it's before 7 minutes. What a massive change in the impact of the early game coming in from DCG this time around. And I mean, this is such a cleaner start, and now Cascada emboldened because he has numbers advantage.
Who knew that, you know, going well in the first 8 minutes of lane would make such a difference and give DCG so much momentum. I mean, first blood going over to that Yone. Nesty is accelerated this time. And you even look at the top lane, the lane that, you know, Lakai decided to take that Silas into. Leaky's still up 10 CS. And so across the board, DCG almost up 2,000 gold at 7 minutes simply from all 3 lanes that have a decent CS margin.
Yeah, and it again shows you how good of a top laner Leaky is. On this Ornn pick, of course, Ornn probably a little bit better than the Silas in early trades, especially when you have Grasp giving you extra sustain and damage versus the first strike, which is very conditional. But the big thing for Leaky is he will scale pretty well. He will be the more damage-oriented Ornn in these team fights when he does steal away the Ornn Horn, or if he goes ahead and steals away the Fate Sealed. Definitely a lot of damage potential coming out from him later on in the game. But right now,
Herald.
DCG a little late.
Gonna look for a steal. I mean, Husha gets the 200 gold. Vault Breaker coming in. Call the Fort God call, but Lakai has stolen one. They're on to Kino. But it's a 2-man knockup. Hana ulting Lakai, though. He's gone way too deep. At least there's a trade, but Nesty almost dying on the way out.
Wako!
Now Leaky's in the middle of it, everything. Wako not that strong, but maybe he can get some good ricochets here as Lakai absconded. Duck doesn't connect. That's a good chain lag, but Wako again. I said he didn't have enough damage, but he just hits everything.
Sarek, cool guys don't look at boomerangs.
Apparently.
And he nails that one in the end, secures the second kill off the back of it. And BYG maintain their Rift Herald dominance. I believe securing all 5 so far. And while Wako is a little bit behind on the CS department, that kill will help get him back into the game. As DCG, they go for the fight. And both of these AD carries were quite far, so this is just essentially a 4v4, but then they overextend themselves and get flanked upon because of that overextension, and that's where things go a little bit sour. Minji, of course, on this Akali, very, very comfort champion for him, and yeah. There we go.
Plain stuff. Man, first kill over to Wako, and I don't know, DCG, it's been around some of these neutrals. What we've seen this series is they've been scattered. Their team fight calling hasn't been as clean, and Hana ulting the Silas there hurt him so much. Follows the car to the back line, and then from there, BYG able to pick apart the pieces. That 2K gold lead now only about 500, and for beyond off the back of that play, you look at the kill spread. That means Husha will be able to get first item shortly. Minji is pretty close with Hextech Alternator, and Wako has himself Noon Quiver too. So we've got Dragon coming up in a minute 30, and there is now more of a chance that BYG will be able to match Deep Cross Gaming in the item advantage, or at least item continuancy, if that is a word. Consistency? Yeah, let's go with that. That they shouldn't have had in this game.
Husha looking to go for the Blade of Rune King build.
It's an all-in. It is a Yone, so it doesn't matter too much. He's going to pop on back, getting damage onto Minji, while the rest of DCG are getting set up in bottom side river.
1 minute until Dragon. That's the reason why Nesty goes for that trade, gets priority, and now also gets a health advantage. That allows Hana and Woody to take first dibs into this river area. If they're able to sweep out some of this ward coverage, it does become a lot harder for BYG to make their way back into this area. They've got a whole lot of melees and not necessarily a ton of durability at the moment.
But I would be worried here because Leaky doesn't have teleport. If Lakai decides to join in, if Lakai comes down, Beyond Gaming will have numbers advantage, so 30 seconds to find out what Leaky does, because the laning phase might be going his way, but Lakai should have an ulti to steal shortly, or at least find one on his entrance in.
And that's why Leaky's playing super far forward, because he knows he doesn't have teleport, but Leaky does, which means he has to have eyes on Leaky at all times, and now he leaves the lane knowing that, hey, I want to be here for this team fight, and while Leaky has the teleport, I've got first dibs. I'm going to also be able to just walk here first, so I like the response coming in from DCG. And Kino, he really wants this fight.
Because look at the rest of the map, they're all coming in. Zenith Blade starts it off, Kino's in the middle, Solar Flare, the value huge. A good response to Kino goes golden, but look at BYG as they tackle on in and call the Forge God in return. Their angles are beautiful, and DCG walked into a trap, using everything for the support now. It's Clean Up City. No one expected Beyond Gaming to be this competitive, to be this big, but against Deep Cross Gaming, our second seed, they are taking over yet again. Dragon might go to Deep Cross, but the gold is going to sink into Beyond Gaming's wallet after that one.
And DCG are falling apart at the seams, Hysterics. BYG just have their number in these 3 games. That last fight, it was just a complete disaster how they set it up. They start out the Dragon, and they allow themselves to get engaged upon. And then, because of that, they get flanked from multiple angles. And Cascada, once more, this was a composition that was supposed to be able to team fight front to back much better. It hasn't paid off whatsoever because they allow themselves to, they give up flanking.
I mean, once Nesty as well, you know, he goes in, and then they're so scattered after that. Like, you look back at that fight and the way they are, after that Soul Unbound comes back, like, all right, now we've used Call the Forge God on a support who had stopwatch. Kino making a massive difference in that fight. 100% kill participation, by the way. Kino has been so good in this series. I feel like we've complimented the bottom lane. We've especially complimented Wako. But without Wako, you know, or rather without Kino, I don't think Wako would be as prominent as he is. So, yet again, Kino in the spotlight. Yet again, BYG in the spotlight. Now with a small gold lead. They're facing off against those 2 Dragons, Nightstar, but you have to look at the items that are starting to come through. Blade of the Ruin King before that last fight. Everfrost for Lakai. You look at the Kraken Slayer here for the 80 carry.
Oh,
and you look at the 2v2 on the top side. Vault Breaker, no. He doesn't want to deal with the Blade of the Ruin King Viego. And I can understand why, as BYG are heading up for this Herald Nightstar. They want to keep their rate going strong.
This time, Nesty isn't going for the Blade of Rune King himself. He actually has a shield bow. So looking for more of a damage-oriented build, knowing that Leaky is going full tank. This is an important fight.
Nikki has ult available. Eyes gonna hit. They want the steal. They flash onto the Akali. Fate sealed is good as well. Everything onto Minji, but he's still there. You're right. As they jump back to the solo, now Nesty now in a bad spot. Beyond Gaming jumping into a choke, but look at Husha. Reset. No, denied this time, but Wako cleaning it up. Now for Chris Carter running back against the AD carry, against the Zeri polymorph. Makes it close, but Wako again. Chris Carter has gotten the Zeri, but Beyond Gaming just don't care as with an Everfrost down, Woody trying to carry the rest, running after Wako. He doesn't have flash available, Boomerang at max range. Wako's gonna get out, but Herald secured, and BYG might even up the fight a little bit after how close it came.
Oh my lord, Hysterics. That fight was on the knife's edge there with how good it looked actually for the side of DCG. While it did start off a little bit rough, because there was no attention applied onto Cascada, he actually got so much damage done. We get to see the replay. They try and collapse onto Minji, knowing that the flank coming in from the Akali was the problem in the last fight. They ended up overextending themselves into that choke point. But on the flip side, because of how much attention was drawn into that choke point, it did open things up for Cascada to lay down a ton of damage, and you can see those health bars getting so low. It was nearly the Zeri moment we were hoping for. And Woody coming up in the end with a little bit of extra gold for himself at the last part.
Beautiful sidestep as well from the abscond abduct from Lakai, but you know, coming back to it, I mean, DCG still getting themselves a fight. Nesty got a lot of gold from that trade as well, so it doesn't feel like it's all doom and gloom.
Yep.
But for Beyond Gaming, they have a 4-0-4 Sivir, and last game Wako was able to deliver with this pick, as he's now set up even earlier than game number 2. And we've got a Dragon to talk about here, Nightstar, because for DCG, they want to keep this one flowing, otherwise BYG can look to try and stall out that game yet again.
The big thing here coming into this fight is the fact that Nesty, because he's building more damage, he will have the opportunity to one-tap one of these carries this time around instead of mostly being the setup man. Now with this Rift Herald, they will get priority, and that means they own the choke control here on the map. It will be very difficult for DCG to contest their third dragon, but because they got the first two, this alleviates some of the pressure.
Minji was spotted out. He got the Scryer's Bloom. A little bit unfortunate as Nesty tries to pop over the wall. They want the pick on the Akali, but look, they're separated. They're all separated. Call the Forge God doesn't work out though. Beyond Gaming moved back to the Dragon as Leaky's ulti now comes through. It's onto Wako, but he spell shields a good bit of damage out to the tank as Nesty still zones out. They're so threatened by Minji's Akali here, as Beyond Gaming now have the whole of DCG in front of them. Minji now has a bit of space as Solar Flare comes on through, but the Vault Breaker in, the steal, no. It goes to Beyond Gaming, but now for DCG, they have to get out of Minji's angle. He kites on back, the ulti from Hana again. This fight not working out as Unleashed is Wako, and DCG losing their jungler, losing the Dragon, and losing a semblance of hope yet again.
Oh, it all goes wrong for the side of DCG. Hana goes in, doesn't find the smite, smites too early, loses his nerve against Husha, and Husha once again delivering in this series. 3 games now where he has just made Hana look absolutely pedestrian. See the replay here, he goes in, smites too early, and then, I mean, Minji just breaks his ankle, right? Goes in, rocket belt, and then flips, pulls Hana away from his team, and DCG just say, yep, you can have him.
I mean, for Hana, he's like, I'm probably going to die anyway. I guess he just altered, but, you know, Hana and the rest of DCG, right, they have been willing to first pick this Vi every single game. And as we were saying, the Vi really hasn't done much for the draft. What we've seen from DCG is the fact that they need more solid engage, you know, more frontline maybe, right? Like, because we're looking at this team playing Yone, playing Zeri, this time committing to full damage mid too, as you were pointing out earlier. And it just feels like that DCG, when we talked about their drafts being some of the best all split, are kind of dropping short at the hurdle with their debut here in playoffs in the PCS against a team that already deconstructed J-Team and now might be on the border of doing the same to DCG if they can push past this stagnation of gold league.
For DCG, they're getting pretty feisty up in this top half of the map. Pretty deep in the jungle. Trying to carve out a little bit of safety for Nesty to crash that wave up in the top side, but on the flip side, DCG they're playing 2 lanes, BYG are playing 3. So they are getting more gold into their pockets and EXP more importantly. So DCG, they're kind of playing on a timer.
Okay, wait for the ward. Hana not going to get caught out here. And, you know, further to your point, Nightstar, they can do that because Wako has insane wave clear. It's a 2-item Sivir here. And even against this Ornn, you look at the ricochets. It's just good damage. And the wave immediately gone. BYG have 1 pushing in. 5 members hovering around for DCG. Bot is pushing in. Top is now being hit by Minji. And Beyond Gaming get more vision control because of it as Hana. Ulting again! So damn deep. Solarplay gets him, but at least Nesty's with him this time. Husha buys time, but Minji on the flank. Hana, what was that as Minji jumps on in? Mr. Kali wants to go to semi-finals for the first time. BYG, with this new roster, are looking to take down the 2nd seed and make a statement here in this quarters.
All right. I know we didn't put score predictions, but surely no one said 3-0 for the side of BYG.
True. Look, you know, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Kyle, right? You know, I've been in the team with him for a year. But Clement Chu I've worked with for a hell of a long time. And I know Clement, he didn't pick 3-0. He would have said 3-1 or 3-2. So, unless he messages me right now, I'm not clearing his name because there's no one that could have seen this level of dominance coming as, dude, Hana is just pressing the R button like he's a kid in a candy store.
Man. I just have to remind everyone, those of you watching at home, those of you that didn't watch the pick and ban phase. 3 games of Vi from the side of DCG on blue side. They picked it. First pick. Back to back to back. When they went ahead, banned away something like Wukong, which Wukong in this game, again, with the style that DCG are playing, they're just playing a lot more for these team fights. The Wukong would have been brilliant in these instances. And they continue to fall back for this Vi pick. And once more, the Vi pick has not panned out.
And look, we've got Baron now for BYG. Look at the gold lead that's come out of nowhere. Nesty's going to be able to get some objective bounty top, but mid is dead. They're going to pressure up bottom in a turret as well. Nesty's not sticking around for top lane turret, and this second dragon for BYG is going to be taken. And Nightstar, as I was saying before, like, it is incredible to watch BYG in this run, considering that, you know, we had Maoan last year when they went to Worlds. You know, we had PK and we had Liang in the top side, which they're not even playing Liang. It has been Lakai. And we look at the bottom lane where it was Doggo, you know, way back in Worlds last year too.
Yep.
Wako is now filling the shoes quite nicely, might I add. Doggo must be sitting there like, I want my old spot back because, you know, BLG ain't too red hot getting knocked out in playoffs in the first round too over in the LPL. But this roster, I mean, this roster that went to Worlds last year, there's so many different elements, but it feels Worlds ready with what we're seeing in this best of 5 against the 2nd seed in the regular season.
BYG, they had to reconstruct the roster after last split or last year. And even coming into this split, playing Likai much more than Liang.
Oh, Minji, he
might
tries to trick and flip. The soul unbound, that's unfortunate. At the very least, followed through as Nesty ease in time. Baron buff, though, I want to pull out, has only gotten close to about a 1k Baron power play. So for DCG, they haven't lost too much because of it, but it all depends on this bottom side play as they group up. As right now, it's going to be 4 members of BYG trying to push in with 10 seconds left to go.
Yeah, flank coming in from Husha. The engage comes through, or if DCG overforce, they could get punished pretty heavily.
God. The ricochets just suck so much as
Baron buff
even
gone.
Boomerang Blade. Yep, Baron is going to be gone. You look at mid though, inner turret mid is quite low. Bottom side at half its HP. Kino is rotating. Hunter won't be caught out this time around as with that Baron down as well, no objectives actually up for about 2 minutes 42 as Nesty is going to find an ulti, a pick off here as Hoosher and Kino. Other ones caught this time with the Solar Flare. Instantly cleansed by Chris Carter's score, but look, Lakai's got a stolen ulti. Hits up Hunter as Chris Carter is at the front line, but what goes there too? He's shut down as Leaky gets a 2-man knock up. This is the return for DCG as Lakai now in the middle too. A double for Chris Carter and BYG caught with their pants down when DCG just came in firing.
Might have just caster cursed them. Hysterics. We were talking about how good BYG were looking even though they didn't get the most out of the Baron. This is a team that does take it a little bit slow when it comes to generating advantages off of a Baron push. But they managed to, at long last, catch out Wako. He falls for the first time in this game number 3. And if they can find a repeat pick onto him, that might be the key for DCG to get on the board in the series. As replay happens, Nesty engages here, burns that big cooldown, and it looked like, well, BYG can easily turn this. And so they try and go for the re-engage, but they're taking so much damage from this from Criscata on this Zeri that by the time they finally approach Criscata, they're all blinking health bars, and decided DCG take advantage of that and turn the fight.
You've got no goal between the teams pretty much. In comparison to what it was before, 2,000 is nothing. His objective bounty picked up like 4K just then for DCG before we went into the replay. So we talked a lot about this team, the front to back that is there as well with the Ornn now in the comp. The ornaments coming in as well with a 3-item Zeri for Chris Carter. So it does feel like this next Dragon fight could be everything with BYG not as far ahead as they once were, and especially since they're not the one with a hard tank like the Ornn. They've only got the Leona here, Nightstar, and it's going to be a hard ask of a pick-off maybe to see if they can bring the game back into what it was.
And here's the thing. For the side of DCG, they actually have the advantage in stats because you look at the Dragon stats and what they're providing, BYG only have regen. That doesn't help you in the straight-up fight, whereas DCG have double combat dragons. This is a massive advantage, and because of the extra ornaments, they actually have more effective gold at this moment. So BYG, they have to be extremely careful with how they approach and take this next fight, because 28 minutes of the game, death timers are starting to stretch.
They were going towards Baron because they wanted to make sure there was no vision there. DCG with an insanely fast Baron. BYG, of course, can't force that themselves. They've got pretty slow in comparison. As Hoosher hovers around the side. There's a control ward in that brush. BYG are gearing up for this Dragon in 10 seconds. Lakai steals away the Ornn ulti. Wako's wave clear is great as ricochets do mean something. With the instant wave clear, they now have priority yet again, but it's going to be about what Hana can do here on the Vi, setting up a Vault Breaker. Leaky's ulti comes in, but Minji's angle is onto Chris Carter. It depends on him. Nesty's ulti misses too, and Lakai's ulti hits too. DCG moving into a choke as Minji buys time, but the tank is down. Deep Cross Gaming just when you found a leg back in. Chris Carter flashing in. No, it's too early. Your team is down. Your tank is down. Deep Cross, that's got to sting yet again as Beyond Gaming are setting their attention to the rest. Lakai jumps in. Hoosher's back on in. Nightstar for a place in semifinals. Beyond Gaming with a new roster. They're going to try and end.
30 seconds still onto Nesty. That's their big team fight engage. Leaky will be up in 10, but I don't think they have enough damage. It really just comes down to clear out the minions.
Well, he tried. Hana now ulting in, but it's all for old as the Kai comes in. Beyond Gaming replaced 3 members.
They can't end.
But now can't end the game. A new wave coming in. The death timer for Chris Carter's up and available. So the game will go on. But just like that, DCG throw what they brought back in. And now it feels like they're going to be losing the Dragon too.
BYG, it does look like they're actually going to go ahead for the reset. And for the side of DCG, they don't actually know the full reset is coming out here. And BYG know, hey, we've got supers pushing in the mid lane. We can cash in on this additional gold, push our items even further than DCG. So even if they do come and contest for the Sex Dragon, we still have item advantage. And they'll go ahead and start this one up. For the side of DCG, it doesn't look like they're going to contest. Smart idea in this instance, because it is not the Dragon Soul for the side of BYG. And yeah, so DCG, again, the game's not over because of the heroics coming in from Hana, but it does feel like they're halfway into the grave. Not sure.
Well, especially with 4 stasis or GA items for a ward. Hana's now launched on by Kino. Wako not going to get the range, but Solar Flare's great as Husha follows up. Hana getting out as Leaky's ulti does hit the choke. As you said, the Fate Seal's good, but look at Lakai's ulti in response.
Oh,
and Cascada is frontlining again! This 80 carry who we highlighted being such a good team fighter has once again let us down. DCG, that was disappointing, but what wasn't disappointing was the upset from Beyond Gaming against the second seed. Beyond, who were World's representatives last year. Beyond, who replaced their roster and have come back in the BO5 strong, now locking in semi-finals, which means they're one step away from returning to Worlds for 2022.
Beyond Gaming, a brand new org 2 years ago, came in, went to Worlds in their first year, and now looking to do it back-to-back with a complete roster rebuild, pivoting away from the old guard of Liang in the top lane, bringing in a much younger top laner in Lee Kai. It took them a long while this split to make it work, but at long last, they found their footing. Boy, does this team look